On today's episode, we go back to the very beginning. All this stuff's like super embarrassing to show anyone, but guess what? This is for learning and that's for you. So, brace yourself. You'll see those clips. Welcome to episode 2 of How to Become an Animator. I decided the best way to tell you the story of everything that's happened so far is to break it into pieces. And we're first going to go through everything before I was ever formally taught anything, all of the self-education. So some context of who I am. The two things I always loved as a kid are movies and drawing. I would draw all the time, super cartoony, nothing realistic at all. I was terrible at drawing actual people. And as far as movies, my first movie in a theater was Toy Story, the first one. I really loved movies, loved animation, didn't know that was a thing you could do, but I just always had that interest. When I hit 4th grade, I started drawing comic books because I liked drawing and then I liked building a story, even if that story was horrible. I still have all of my old comic books. They're terrible. If you do any sort of creating, whether it's writing or drawing or whatever, I highly recommend not to delete anything. Keep all of your work, even if it's stupid and you hate it, because one day it's nice to look back and be able to see like, oh, this is the first thing I ever did, when it actually became something else. So keep your stuff. Anyway, I remember the first time I drew my first comic character. I was sitting in my 4th grade teacher's class, Mrs. Face. I remember her telling a story about being in her dad's and having to get the prairie dogs off the property, and something about putting a hose on the ground and flooding them out of the underground tunnel network. Now I'm from the desert and I never saw a prairie dog or a gopher or any of that kind of stuff, so I just drew what I figured it would look like. I remember drawing a comic strip about somebody putting a hose in the ground and water shooting out of all of the little gopher holes, or prairie dog holes, and one of them was under a tree. And a gopher, or what I figured a gopher would look like, got sprayed out of the hole on top of the water, grabbed a leaf from one of the trees that the hole was under, and used the leaf to surf, and he had little sunglasses on. It was really dumb, but then I kept drawing. And I remember drawing that he grabbed onto the tree and climbed in, and he found a bunch of acorns or something, because I was like, oh, prairie dogs, gophers, they probably eat acorns. I had no idea. And he found a golden acorn, he ate it, and he became Super Gopher. And that was my first comic book character, Super Gopher. Looking back, it's kind of dumb. Eventually I did Super Gopher 2, 3, I think 4, and the origin story of Super Gopher, where I expanded on the original story. It was ridiculous. That eventually grew to where I created more characters, and I'm pretty sure the next one was Flame Boy, which I'm pretty sure was just some dude with spiky hair who goes to the doctor, gets a shot, but for some reason the doctor had an oven in his office, and it was open, and a spark flew into a hole in the syringe, which then got injected, infused with his DNA, and made him fireproof and able to conjure up flames. Look, I never said the comic books were good, okay? But this is what I spent my time doing. I just drew and tried to come up with stories, even though I was no good at it. The reason I basically drew those comics was that I liked drawing the fight scenes and the effects. I liked drawing the fire and the, that kind of stuff. I was drawing these comic books from basically 4th grade to 6th grade, and I'm pretty sure I pulled reference, or what I would call now reference, but back then it was just, I was copying pieces of things I liked, from Dragon Ball Z, Danny Phantom, Calvin and Hobbes, different aspects like the hair, or the way they would throw blasts, or the way they'd transform into their alter egos, or whatever it was. It wasn't the most original content, but it was what I would do, and it was fun. In 6th grade is when things started to get... 6th grade is when things started to get interesting. In 6th grade I got my first laptop, and I bought one of those Wacom Wacom tablets. I still have it, it's the very first one they made, hold on. Boom, right there. I bought this thing for like $40 or $50, and you can only draw in this range here. But that was amazing. And then I don't think I ever used these for anything. I had these mapped for like backwards and forwards on web pages, and then these like played and paused my music or something. Because the software I was using was called Pivot Stick Figure Animator, and you couldn't actually map these to do anything on that software. It was super basic. When I first bought this thing, I wanted to practice, and I didn't have Photoshop or anything really to draw with, so I would use Microsoft Paint. And so I'd go on Google Images and just search for pictures of video game characters or anything that I wanted to just trace and draw over and recolor it myself using the tablet. So I'd take different pictures and just color over them using 3 different shades of one color. If I needed a red, I'd take a regular red, a dark red, and a light red, and I'd just color everything using that scheme. And that was the first thing I did to get good at digital drawing. Pivot stick figure animator is where I spent a good 2 years just frame by frame animating stuff, and it was amazing. But you basically move a joint, move a limb, hit next frame, and just repeat. I remember doing all kinds of different fight scenes, but I thought it was super cool. Being able to take stick figures and move them around and just have them animate and just have them move and come to life, that was the coolest thing ever. Those were also terrible. And I used to post those online. I posted those before YouTube even existed. It was Google Video back then. I'm also proud to say that one of my stick figure fight videos had like 16,000 views, which back then, before YouTube ever existed, that was a big deal. Come to think of it, if I had just kept making videos and putting them on, and then when YouTube would have showed up, I would have been one of the first creators on YouTube. Oh well. The animations weren't very good. I didn't understand the principles of animation. I didn't know what made something look good or appealing. I just kind of went for it. In 8th grade, the next big thing happened. I had a social studies or history teacher named Mr. Claybo who was really into Napoleon Dynamite. Somewhere around that time, I had also seen the White and Nerdy Weird Al music video. So there's a part in the White and Nerdy music video where there's some kind of like back alley deal going on. You think, oh, it's drugs, and it's a DVD or something like that. I thought it'd be funny if I put, oh, I should put the teacher's face on whoever's buying the whatever, and I make that, I think it was a DVD, I make that Napoleon Dynamite, or I think it's a VHS, I don't know. But so that's where that started, and I was like, oh, that'd be great. So then I took the entire White and Nerdy music video, tried to find that piece, and I put his face on it, and I thought, you know, it'd be better if he were just singing the whole thing. And that was a process. For 2 weeks straight, I listened to White and Nerdy, which was something, and frame by frame, adjusting. I basically scanned the yearbook picture of my teacher, cut out the head, put it on Weird Al for the entirety of the music video, frame by frame, moving it around. And I did like a mouth layer where I would move the mouth up and down and do animation. And so the entire music video is him singing White and Nerdy. And there were other teachers who made appearances and that kind of thing. That was probably the first time I did anything that was even remotely related to a VFX type of workflow. And there were smaller things, like in 9th grade I did some kind of biology project. I remember like meiosis or meiosis animation. You had to show cells replicating and doing whatever they do for DNA. And I remember a bunch of my friends were like, hey, can you help me out with this? And I'm pretty sure most of them still remember that too. Basically, any opportunity I could find to do some kind of video or animated project, I would take it. If it was extracurricular, like the White and Nerdy video, or if it was something that I could find relevancy in, like a math project or a biology project. Around about 10th grade, I started to play with special effects softwares, and I started doing green screen type of work. We had a green sheet at my house, and I thought, oh, that'll work for a green screen. And so I would take videos of my sisters on the green screen, and I would try to put them in cool locations. I also tried downloading some Vision Lab Studio software where I could drop in preset effects, or I could play with particle emitters. There's a lot you can do with that kind of software, but I didn't know any of it, so my stuff looked really bad. I have all these videos of me in my room conjuring up kind of special effects and different energy balls and shields and just ridiculous stuff like that. It's really embarrassing to show. But here you go. In high school I also started doing parkour. I started a parkour club and I was teaching it to people in the club. That's a whole other thing. If anyone has any interest in the parkour side of this, comment, let me know. I was editing a lot of parkour videos at the time, and I would use that skill in my other videos. But I needed to get better at editing, so I started just doing a lot of regular videos. By the way, that's a great way to learn editing, is to start doing something active like that and have to cut it together, because you have to keep in mind continuity of direction, quick cuts versus how long are you going to show something. You can't cut a whole bunch of times because you can't see anything that's happening, but if you keep it too long, it's boring. You also have to make sure with your camera angles that things are close enough that you can see the detail of what you want to show, but far back enough that you're not cutting anything off. And I'm pretty sure that helped me understand how to cut action sequences too, because senior year of high school I started making a lot more parkour videos, and I would throw in some special effects here and there.
Leave that to me.
The point I'm trying to make with today's episode is that I feel really good about where I'm at right now in life with my career and where I'm at and where I'm going. I'm still not there, but I've gotten really good at some stuff. I've been working at this for years, even before I ever knew that's what I was doing. And this entire episode should show you that I was doing this stuff forever, and I never even had any idea I wanted to be an animator or in video. I didn't even know that was a job you could do, and if someone had told me that, I probably wouldn't have even said yes, because I didn't understand it. I just did it because it was fun. This was my hobby. But we all have to start somewhere, and that's where I started. So, if you ever see any of my stuff and think it's remotely good, it was never like that to begin with. It was horrible, and I don't show it to anybody until now. But again, it's great that I have it, because now I can show people and say, yeah, that's the first thing I made. Everything up until college was just me setting the foundation of what I was interested in. It's just the hobby that I thought was cool that I never thought about. In the next episode, I'll talk about why I went to 4 different colleges and how that part really drove everything that I was going to do from there. If you're enjoying the series so far, don't forget to subscribe so that you know when these videos are posted. Leave a thumbs up if you're enjoying them, and if you have any questions or anything you're curious about or want to bring up for future videos or further questions about this video, comment below. Really, do it. Hit the button. Subscribe to it. Thanks for watching episode 2 of How to Become an Animator.